Hello, how are you, Charlotte?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I am very, very good, thank you. Very good. And I'm really excited because we have a guest on our show today. So tell us, Charlotte, who's joining us in conversation today?
Yeah, well, a big welcome to Caterina Avanzi. It's so lovely to have you here, Caterina, and we're so excited to chat to you. Caterina is a personal stylist from Manchester, and we're just so excited to really delve into how style can really help with confidence and just see where this conversation takes us. So, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you,
Hello.
ladies. Hi, everyone.
Hiya. Um, yeah, so Katerina, we'd love to just kick off really with just finding out a little bit about you, and we'd just love you to share your story with our listeners. So how did you come into the world of becoming a personal stylist?
Okay, so well, as Charlotte said, I live in Manchester, but I am originally from Italy. You might guess from my accent. And I moved to the UK in 2002, so it's going to be nearly 21 years in January. So how short can I make it?
Yeah.
Well, I guess being Italian, you kind of born and bred in style. I wouldn't say fashion as much, but it's important. The image is really important. So the way that you dress, your appearance. It's really important. When I mean, even in when I was in Italy, of course, more in my teenager years and my early 20s, when you start finding, your style and, what you like, I guess it's a bit easier. But as a younger, teenager, I wasn't the one who was like, the coolest in the class and things like that. Because body, you're growing up, your body goes from one shape to another, and
Yeah.
it's not always easy to in that period of time. So I really had to find my feet, while at the time I was thinking that some other girls, they were like, looking pretty, and they were perfect, but they might have had their struggles as well. Now that we are older, we know that, but at the time it's like, you are the one who is the odd one. Anyway, so then went to university. I've always loved languages, and I've always wanted to come to the UK to improve my English. So I came here with the idea of going to France after, because I speak French as well. But then I met someone at the time, and I stayed.
Yeah.
20 odd years later, I'm still here. And languages, of course, was my thing, but I did accounting in school as well, because my dad had a business and he wanted me, to be part of it. So when I came here, I combined accounting, languages. It was a thing at the time. And then I got stuck into that. And then I met my husband, I had children, turned 40, and I was like, what am I doing? Yes, I enjoyed the accountancy, but I wasn't really being excited by it anymore, numbers, and it was too technical, and I wanted something more exciting, more creative as well. And meeting, I had kids, so you start going to groups, baby groups, toddler groups, and then the kids started going to school, and you meet a lot of moms, and it was when I realized how much women struggle with their image, with their style, the wardrobe. So that was my first moment when I'm like, oh my God. And of course, I had children as well. And I went through a time where I'm like, who am I? My body has changed. I don't know what to wear, and I really, struggled as well in this sense. Um, and then, having the moment, what can I do? What shall I do? I thought, oh, I want to help other women to, become more confident and, love who they are. And these, of course, came, after I struggled and I started my journey as well. So that is, in a nutshell, how I came to it, being a personal stylist.
That's amazing. So just reflecting back then, you obviously, like you say, you've gone on this journey yourself personally of these feelings, which I know I can, also being a mother, and I know, Shal, I'm sure you can as well, really relate to that kind of, like, there's the turning of the ages, but then also being a mum, and then it's like, who am I? What's my style? Where's my confidence? My body's completely changed through becoming a mum. And it's just that next chapter, isn't it? And it's how we navigate through that to rebuild that confidence in a not in a different body, but our bodies are, for me personally, my body changed a lot after having my kids. I was teased at school for being like so super skinny, stick thin. But my body did some wonderful things through like giving birth, and like, for me to get my head around not snapping back to that super stick thin figure again, it's quite a say challenge. It's just something you have to navigate through, isn't it? And
absolutely, yeah.
And in the clothes that we wear, it's wanting to be like, you want to be comfortable. You get to a certain point where you want to be comfortable, but it's like, how do you combine that with the confidence and then also the style? And I think it's refreshing to hear that you've kind of also been through that journey, and that's kind of what sparked your kind of passion to want to help other women feel the same and grow in that confidence.
Yeah. And you said something really relevant there. The body changes, and there is one thing, but as a person we change, because it's normal. We're getting older, obviously, but we're getting wiser, as I think, as well. And we want to reflect that in our image, and what we liked 10 years ago, it's not what we like anymore, because it's totally normal. Let leave alone fashion and the trends that change. So it's really I think understanding that, and accepting, obviously, that our bodies have changed, but that we can also wear different things. And yes, it's being comfortable with, which being comfortable doesn't necessarily mean wearing baggy clothes, and no colorful things. It's just choosing the right garments, the right fabrics, so, and still being feeling good, and you go out and go, yeah, I like what I'm wearing. I'm feel really good about that.
Yeah, just touching on something you just said, Caterina, about what we liked 10 years ago. It may obviously have changed, and it may be different now, and I think it's interesting to highlight that, because it is almost like a letting go, like an acceptance and a letting go of, like, I know for me, I used to dress a bit eccentric, I don't know if that's the right word to use, but I wasn't afraid to just put on some, like, my friends would always say to me, oh, you can wear anything and make it look good, kind of thing. And it's sort of, I don't know if I'm still hanging on to that, like, I suppose it's that sort of, or would you say we kind of reinvent and recreate ourselves as we go through these different chapters of life? And
yeah, and you see, that's the thing, because you might think, you say, I'm kind of hanging on to that because you see yourself then being maybe stylish, or oh, I could wear that, and now you think, well, I can't anymore, or for whatever reason, and possibly because there is something that you wouldn't wear anymore, but you know, in a different way, you can still find things that, you know, are a bit quirky maybe, but in, you know, now for the person that you are. And for me as well, what was a turning point is when I started looking, you know, inwards, you know, and I was like, you know, who am I? Because when you're younger, you follow the, how do you say, what's the word in English? Like the flow, you know, of course, you know, your friends and that is how you should be, and, you know, so on. But I remember at some point going, you know, who am I? You know, I want to be me, you know, Caterina, and, you know, with my flaws, but also with my, you know, beautiful aspects of, you know, my personality. And that is, you know, something that goes hand in hand, of course, you know, looking inside and, you know, reflecting that in your style, because you know, the moment that you are confident, you know, you reflect that. It's not that you want to, it comes, I think, natural, but sometimes it's your, you know, external aspect, image that helps, you know, your confidence. It is a bit tricky. I never, you know, for me, it's never about, I'm gonna make you pretty, you know, let's go shopping and I'm gonna find something that I can, but then it's not gonna resolve, you know, where my client is and, you know, where she's with, you know, feeling, you know, who she is, her confidence and so on. So it's, you know, we really need to listen to ourselves and, you know, and really go with who am I, you know, because that will help as well with, you know, finding your style. I mean, it's not like an overnight thing. It's a journey. I call it a journey, and I think it's a fantastic journey, you know, if we are ready to take it, really.
I love that, because for me, I know I kind of came out of motherhood, and I had, well, two C-sections. I say come out of motherhood, you know, I'm still a mum. I say that, and I'm like, I'm still one. You know, and you just come out of that blurry phase of like where I was literally, I just felt like I was like leggings and comfort, and so I'd had 2 C-sections, and I remember being quite tough on myself to get back into jeans. I've had a hang up with jeans since then, because I just didn't find it comfy on my scar, and I could not find the right pair. And I bought a lot of different things, and I'm like, these are the ones, and they just weren't. And that was an acceptance to me, to be like, jeans just aren't my thing anymore. I mean, the odd pair, like I will wear, but that's just not what I find comfy. Like, I was quite pleased that the elasticated waist jeans, you know, where they're kind of, what they're called, like, there's a name for them, isn't it? Like paper bag kind of.
Yeah,
I can't think of it.
Yeah, they kind of, I feel they flatter me more, and they're kind of, you feel like you're wearing, well, they are jeans, but they're obviously just not so rigid.
Yep.
But I remember that for me being such a, I don't have to get back into jeans. Like, I think it was an inner thought that everyone was getting back into jeans after motherhood, or getting back into those clothes at that size after motherhood. And I don't know, I didn't. And like you say, some of like dresses and stuff that I did manage to get back into, but they didn't feel the same, or they didn't make me feel as confident as they did before. And I remember kind of going through a process of, I actually did a little Instagram post about it one time, and I was like, anything that doesn't like make it up past my knees or over the top, you know, when you put it on, you instantly know this just doesn't fit, but you try and keep going. That's like, anything like that is a goner.
Yeah.
So, and that made me feel so much better, because everything that then was in my wardrobe, it did fit and it felt comfortable.
Yeah.
And I just had a little bag of things that I just couldn't quite get rid of, and they're still up here, of good, like, nice things that I'm like, not probably going to get into them again, but I'll just keep hold of them.
And it's fine to have that, you know. I've had things that are kept, you know, for a long time. I think I've become quite ruthless now, but it's something that I've learned as well, you know. And then, you know, of course, as you say, you know, what's the saying? You preach, what is it?
You practice what you preach.
Yes, yeah. So of course, it's no point for me to have a wardrobe full of things that I'm not wearing, and then going to my client and say, oh, do that and then that, but it was a process for me to understand that. And I think I've got only a few things, something that I want to keep for my daughter that of course she will go, mommy, I'm not gonna wear these, obviously. But it's just, you feel better, afterwards, because then you move on. Otherwise, you're kept, in the past, and you cannot start your new phase as well, because it is.
We did a little we had a decluttering masterclass in the club, and it was about talking about the attachment that we have to things as well. And I remember that being really helpful, because I had things that I spent like a bit of money on, or like felt like I treated myself to, that then getting rid of those things was really tough. And it was that like letting go of that, because it was just making me feel bad that I spent money on it and I can't wear it. So it's just sat in there in your wardrobe, and it's just I don't know, a little bit of negativity to look at, isn't it? Like, I've wasted this money like every day. And that was quite a big change for me, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, but then you don't want to have that, negative energy, if you want, around. And then you can turn it around and you go, okay, I spent this money then, it served me, hopefully, it did. And that's it, it's part of life, or part of the materialistic, part of our life where, okay, it served me when it did. Now, it doesn't anymore.
It can go, yeah. And that's really interesting, isn't it? Because I always think I tend to, once I've had a declutter, I have to get rid of it straight away, otherwise I tend to go back into the bag.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm always like, that's gone, and it's been a really good like donation to charity, because it's a good quality thing. It's something that I love, and it's passing it on to someone else who will love it and it'll fit better. And
absolutely.
Yeah. I think,
Caterina, so you talk about how you work with women. Obviously, it's not about going out and just buying the stuff to make you, like you said, like look pretty. It's deeper than that, and it's almost like a two-way connected thing on dressing with confidence helps you feel confident inside, and vice versa. So do you kind of touch on doing some inner work? I'm just thinking for our listeners, if anyone's sat there listening and they don't feel confident in themselves, but also not particularly confident in knowing what their style is or how to dress for confidence. Is there any sort of tips or advice or nuggets of information that you could share that where they could sort of start, or how could they begin this journey of starting to build that confidence?
Yeah. So something that I say it's the basis of personal style is knowing your body shape.
Okay.
It's something that I do. It's a standalone service that I provide, but when I work with my client, for a longer period, for example, or even if we do a shopping trip, just that, I really need to understand my client's body shape for me to get the best, clothes for her to choose, but then for my client to then, know what I'm doing. So, body shape, there are 5 main body shapes, but then, we are never, not all the time, a specific body shape.
Yeah.
But what's behind that is that it is about proportions. So our bodies, we might be wider on the top and slimmer at the bottom. So it's about proportion, and what you want to do is to bring back that hourglass silhouette, and it doesn't have to be, because there are other body shapes that women are happy with, and there is totally, what it should be. But sometimes, I don't know if you've ever noticed, you are in front of the mirror and you see that there is something that doesn't quite work, but you cannot pinpoint. And I remember that I am a pear shape. It means that, I'm, well, I was more before kids, petite at the top, and my hips wide. And I remember wearing things that were accentuating that body shape. Nothing wrong with that, but to my eyes, something didn't work. And I was like, what is it? And there is, I don't know how I came across about, body shape. I was reading, I guess. And I'm like, now I understand, because I was trying, I was always wearing, like tight tops, because before kids, my tummy was flatter, and it was a part that I enjoyed, showing off in a way, as you're younger. But then my hips were wider, and depending on what I was putting on, it was like, oh my God, it doesn't look right. And it's bringing back proportions to the body. In my case, is to, wear more frills or patterns or colors in my top part, and, not as much, bright colors or big prints in the bottom part. And that is when I started doing that, I was like, it makes sense now. And I could see that, and I was liking what I was seeing in the mirror. So I think knowing our body shape really is the beginning of understanding what suits us, because, but they are rules that can be broken,
Yes.
but as a starting point, I think it's, it helps women so much, because then you start buying things that, are for you. And then those things that, garments that you buy, then you put in your wardrobe, that you keep using and using again, instead of staying there, and because you don't know what to do with them. So that is definitely something that, I talk about a lot, because it is really the basis of, where do I start? Okay,
Yeah.
start from your body shape, understand what it is. And then from there, you start buying the right clothes. You will have a wardrobe that serves you. And when you go shopping, it's not as frustrating. So, there is a lot.
I never thought about patterns, actually, and like you said, colours, and I kind of think about, like, the shape of clothes, but that's so interesting that, kind of accentuating that pattern or that colour above can really help with that as well. I don't even know what my body shape is. I need to have a look into that, I think.
Yeah, I'm very excited to go away and explore that further, because like you said, Caterina, that kind of really makes sense, doesn't it, Charlotte? Just the starting point, understand your body shape, because like you just said, that frustration when you go shopping, if we're not kind of knowing what our body shape is and how to best dress for that, the frustration we go in these shops and trying on all these different outfits, all these different shapes, and it's like, we can all relate to that feeling, look in the mirror and be like, this just does not look right. And then that it doesn't help our confidence, does it? It is absolutely a two-way thing. And then the flip side of that, like you said, once you discovered your body shape and almost that balance of what to dress on the top, what to dress on the bottom, all of a sudden then it's dressing for your body shape. You're like, oh, I look good, that feels good.
Yeah.
That is the good feeling that then improves that inner confidence, and it just really makes sense.
It does. And the other thing that I think helps, I'm very much about, appreciate your body. And I do understand, we all have different shapes, and, we might have gone through, different things. So again, it's easy to say, but generally, we have what we have. And I think it's the moment that you start appreciating it, already it changes our outlook of things. So in my case, I've always loved my tummy. I've had, I was used to have a really flat tummy, 6 packs, but that was just, I was lucky, right? Maybe a bit flat. I would have liked to have, bigger bust because I find it feminine, but that wasn't the case. And I've always been chunky around my legs. And it's, you know, teenage years, it was like, oh my God, why? But then when you are that young, you know, you are not wise to understand that it doesn't matter. But then the moment that you know your body shape, I always say you start enhancing those parts that you really like, because that is the point, you know, enhance those parts that you love. And I'm sure that everyone has. You know, it can be your hands, you know, your face. It doesn't have to be body necessarily. So, you know, go for those. And then, of course, clothes helps, you know, clothes help disguising those parts that we don't, you know, necessarily like. And we do, and that's fine, you know. It's I think if we accept that already, we have a little switch in, you know, our confidence. But clothes can really, you know, work magic if you know how, you know, to use them.
That's what I found really interesting, because for me, like working out and stuff has always been quite hard to get into, and I've always been like, always label myself, I'm not a gym person and all that. And it's not really until now that exercising is becoming a little bit easier. And I feel like before, when I wasn't feeling confident and I was just kind of looking at all those points about my body that maybe I didn't like exercise wasn't coming from a good place, and it was coming from lack or like just being really unkind to myself. Whereas actually using, like you say, the power of picking the right clothes and building that confidence in the body that you have right now, you're building that confidence to then get a bit more if you did want to go into exercise and you know, improving the bits of your body that you want to, you can, but from a much kinder place and more serving place. And yeah, I just really liked that. That's definitely what I found, is it's about accepting your body as it is right now and really giving it the love that it deserves, isn't it? And then going on this journey, like you say, to maybe where you want to be. Or yeah, there's a lot, isn't there, in that kind of acceptance, I think.
Absolutely. And sorry, going back to what Charlotte asked earlier on. So so obviously, you know, body shape is one thing. The other thing that I do with, you know, with my clients, and that is more recent, and it's not in a way part of personal styling as such, but last year I started this, I did a qualification to become a style coach, because there was, you know, the part that I was really drawn to, you know, that inner work. And, you know, style coaching involves, you know, coaching the client, and it's about, you know, reframing. So that is the other important part, I think. You know, there are things not only, you know, about style in everyday life. You know, it's reframing some beliefs that we have, you know, the way that we see something. So that is the other part, you know, of work that I do with my clients. You know, if there is something about ourselves that we don't like, you know, let's reframe the belief, because it is about that. Sometimes it's about rewriting our story as well. I mean, that is another big subject that, you know, we could talk about for hours, but you know, it's what our beliefs are not always the true ones, but that is something that we've been telling ourselves for so long. And you know, it's about, okay, let's reframe that, let's rewrite that belief.
We had one of these that came up recently, and I couldn't believe it, because I shared this and Kat was like, oh my goodness, I'm the same. But it was about our shoe size. So me and Kat have both experienced the same thing, where I've never really liked my feet. And I think there were a few comments like when I was younger and stuff, and I just basically have very long toes. So I'm like, that make it like hard to like get the right kind of shoe to fit. So I am a 6, but for a long time I squeezed myself into a 5 or a 5.5, and it wasn't until doing, like, you know, really kind of doing this work and going inwards and be like, do you know what, I'm a size 6. Why have I just, I don't know, deprived myself of that extra comfort and that like right fitting shoe, because from years ago there was the odd comment that like about my feet that I just, but they weren't even like nasty comments either. It was just like a comment, but you know, then you kind of cling on to, and when you're in that period of time, it's a lot, isn't it? And I think we just sit with that then becomes a belief. And yeah, and then you were the same, weren't you, Kat?
I was like, wow, me too. I was like, I'm a size 7, but I tried to believe I was a 6 and squeezed my feet into a size 6. But again, likewise, similar sort of comments, and again, not like really unkind, but just it stuck with me, and it obviously became part of like, oh, that's part of me that I'm not really a fan of. And yeah, it's you know, but the older we become, the wiser we become. It's like, God, just put my feet in the shoes that they deserve, you know, the right size. My feet are ground me, my feet move me, they deserve the right size. But I think that's just a reflection of the wonderful work you do, Caterina, in terms of it's not just about going out and getting your clients lovely clothes. That's a lovely part, you know, it's an amazing, incredible part of it. But it's doing the inner work that you do with them as well as a style coach to reframe those beliefs that you've said, you know, they're not necessarily true, and rewriting our stories, because we can keep popping on all these different clothes, but if we're not really taking the time to go inside and have that self-awareness of what these blocks or limiting or unhelpful beliefs we have about ourselves that we're not working through, it's almost like putting a plaster on it, you know, rather than actually going and seeing what the cause is and what's kind of triggering and sparking these feelings of low confidence and low self-esteem. So I think it's just so wonderful to hear that it's not what we may think on the surface, just going out and getting some clothes to meet our body shape. It's a lot more than that, and it's really important. So we have some exciting news, don't we, Charlotte?
Yes, yeah,
Caterina's
we do.
going to be joining us in February.
Yes.
That's right, isn't it? February the 15th, I believe, ladies.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, in the club for February's masterclass. Yeah, to obviously talk about all that you do, and just help our members, and we're opening it up to non-members as well. Yes. So ticket sales will be live soon. So we'll put further details in the show notes. But that's really exciting, and I can't wait for that. And I know we've told some of our members already. They're just like, yes, you're getting a stylist into the club. This is amazing. So yeah, watch this space for February, guys. Yeah, that's going to be absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. Yes.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh, it's been so wonderful to have this chat. I think so many nuggets, and hopefully lots of takeaways, just to maybe start with. I know that I think Kat and I are probably going to go on to Thingy after and be like, well, let's have a look at these body shapes and actually figure out what I am, which is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, Sorry, I have something in case, you know, if you think that it would be beneficial. I do have something that, you know, people can read just to get an idea of body shape. So just let me know and I can send it on.
Perfect. Absolutely. Well, we could maybe add that into the show notes as well, then. That would be fabulous. Yeah.
As well, we'll add all of Caterina's details into the show notes as well, so you can find out how you can work with Caterina, because it's is it one-to-one? Is that right, Caterina? So one-to-one clients?
Yes, I'm planning to do some work, you know, group work as well. I'm working on that, but you know, I tend to work with clients individually because we are all, you know, different. But there are things that, you know, can be done in group, as a group. So definitely, yeah.
So yeah, we will pop all the details for how to reach out and see how you can work with Caterina in the show notes. And it's just been so wonderful to chat, and feeling very inspired to go do some inner work on body confidence and our body shape. So yeah, it's been great. So thank you so much, Caterina.
Thank you for having me, ladies. It's been lovely to, you know, talk to you, and I'm so glad I met you, Charlotte, at that networking event. It's I love it for that, you know, to meet some, you know, people is important, but then making those connections is so brilliant.
Definitely. We were both meant to be there on that day, weren't we? We always be like,
Absolutely.
believe that. It's just always so lovely to see those connections just come. So yeah, it was so wonderful. So thank you so much, Caterina. And yeah, we'll share everything in the show notes, guys, and we will speak to you soon.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.